$440,000 out of pocket, 5 years. One Ohio family just spent that on long-term care. They saved $1.4 million for retirement. They thought they were ready. They weren't. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what they missed. Welcome back to the Retirement Classroom, where we help fortify your retirement against life's biggest risks. In the next 25 minutes, I'm going to walk you through how a real retirement planner thinks about long-term care, what it actually is, how much it really costs in Ohio in 2026, why Medicare doesn't pay for it, who gets hit hardest and why, how the right strategy makes sure this doesn't break your plan, and how this decision fits with everything else in your retirement picture. Let's get started. Long-term care isn't the only thing that can derail your retirement. It's actually one of 8 big risks every retirement plan has to handle. Living longer than you planned for, inflation eating your purchasing power, the market crashing right when you start spending your money, long-term care, one spouse dying too early, healthcare costs rising faster than everything else, tax rates going up later in life, and a bad first few years of retirement that you can't recover from. For households with 1 to 4 million saved, long-term care sits in the top 3 biggest risks. That's why we're spending the rest of this video on it. Long-term care isn't a hospital stay. It's help with the daily activities of life. Bathing, dressing, eating, remembering medications, using the bathroom, getting around safely. About 56% of Americans turning 65 in 2026 will need long-term care during their lives. That's federal data from the Department of Health and Human Services. And care doesn't happen in just one place. There are 4 main environments people use, and they get progressively more expensive. First is home care. A trained aide comes to your house to help with daily activities. Most people prefer this. Second is assisted living. You move into a small apartment in a community where staff is on site. Third is a skilled nursing facility, what people call a nursing home, around-the-clock care from medical staff. And fourth is memory care, a specialized facility for people with dementia or Alzheimer's. Most people who need long-term care don't need it for a few months. They need it for years. According to federal data, the average duration of care need is around 3 years. About 1 in 5 people who need care will need it for more than 5 years. And women, on average, need care longer than men because they tend to live longer. That detail matters more than you'd think. Quick recap. Long-term care is help with daily activities. About 56% of us will need it. It happens in 1 of 4 environments, and the average duration is 3 years. Some need it much longer. Now let's talk money. Here's what each environment costs in Ohio in 2026. Home care with a trained aide 40 hours a week runs about $60,000 a year. Assisted living, a private room with services, runs about $75,000. A semi-private room in a nursing home runs about $100,000. And a private memory care room runs about $110,000 a year. Source: Care Scout 2024-2025 Cost of Care Survey, adjusted for Ohio. Those costs don't stay flat. Long-term care has been rising about 3 to 4% a year. So let's run the math. A 5-year memory care stay starting at $110,000 a year and increasing 4% annually adds up to about $590,000. Out of pocket. That's the average case. Half cost more. Now let's talk about a misconception that costs Americans billions every year. Most retirees believe Medicare will pay for their long-term care. It will not. Medicare is excellent at what it covers: hospital stays, doctor visits, short-term rehabilitation, prescriptions, preventive care. It is not designed to pay for ongoing help with daily life, not assisted living, not memory care, not extended nursing home stays, not home health aides. The federal definition treats long-term care as a separate category from medical care. Let's get specific. Medicare is actually 4 parts. Part A covers hospital stays. Part B covers doctor visits and outpatient care. Part C, also called Medicare Advantage, is a private plan that bundles A and B. Part D is prescription drugs. Notice what's missing from all 4 parts. Ongoing custodial care. That's the gap nobody fills until it's too late. Here's the rule that confuses most retirees. After a qualifying 3-day hospital stay, Medicare will cover up to 100 days in a skilled nursing facility. But there's a catch most people don't see coming. The first 20 days are fully covered. Days 21 through 100 require a co-insurance payment of around $210 per day in 2026. That's over $6,000 a month out of pocket. And on day 101, Medicare coverage stops entirely. You're on your own from that point forward. And here's the bigger trap. Medicare only covers what's called skilled nursing care. That means medical care from a licensed nurse or therapist. Once your care needs shift to custodial care, help with bathing, dressing, eating, those activities of daily living we talked about earlier, Medicare stops paying. Even if you're still in the same facility, same bed, same staff, most long-term care is custodial, not skilled. That's why Medicare doesn't actually help with the long-term part. One more thing, Medicare Advantage, also called Part C, is a private plan you buy instead of original Medicare. Some retirees assume Medicare Advantage covers more. It does not cover long-term custodial care either. In some cases, Medicare Advantage plans cover shorter skilled nursing stays than original Medicare. So if your retirement strategy is built around Medicare Advantage filling the long-term care gap, the gap is still there. It just looks different. What about Medicaid? Medicaid will pay for nursing home care, but only after you've spent down most of your savings. In Ohio in 2026, a single applicant can hold about $2,000 in countable assets before qualifying. A married couple has slightly different rules, but the bottom line is the same. To qualify for Medicaid, you generally have to spend almost everything on care first. For families with 1 to 4 million saved, that's a long and painful road. Here's something most families don't know about Medicaid. They don't just look at your assets today. They look back 5 years. Any money you gave away to family during that window, any assets you transferred, gets added back to your asset count. That's called the 5-year look back. If you tried to move money to your kids 3 years ago to qualify, Medicaid calculates a penalty period. During that period, you don't qualify, even though you no longer have the money. People end up in no man's land. No resources left, and no coverage yet. Not everything counts toward the asset limit. Medicaid lets you keep your primary home up to a certain equity limit. 1 vehicle, household furnishings, a small burial fund, and a small amount of cash, around $2,000 for a single applicant in Ohio in 2026. Everything else has to be spent down to qualify. That includes retirement accounts, brokerage accounts, savings, and any property beyond your home. If you're married and one of you needs Medicaid for nursing home care, the system gets more complicated. Ohio in 2026 lets the at-home spouse keep what's called the Community Spouse Resource Allowance, about $154,000 in countable assets. That's it. Anything above that has to go toward care before Medicaid kicks in. For a $1 million household, that's a long and painful spend down. The at-home spouse is left with retirement savings depleted to that $154,000. And there's one more thing nobody mentions when they're treating Medicaid as a fallback plan. After the Medicaid recipient passes away, the state can come back to recover what they paid. It's called the Medicaid Estate Recovery Program. They can place a lien on the home you thought was protected. They can claim assets from the surviving spouse's estate after they pass, too. The money you thought you were preserving for your children can end up reimbursing the state instead. Now, that said, Medicaid isn't a complete dead end. There's an actual playbook elder law attorneys use to help families with $500,000 to $1.5 million actually qualify without losing everything. The strategies have names that sound complicated: Medicaid compliant annuity, half-a-loaf planning, caregiver child exemption, spousal refusal in some states. What they all do is the same thing. They shift assets in ways the Medicaid rules allow, so a family can qualify sooner without spending everything on care first. These strategies aren't for every situation. They require an attorney who specializes in this. But they exist. And in the right hands, they work. So here's who gets hit hardest. If you have less than $1 million, Medicaid kicks in faster. Painful, but the system catches you. If you have more than $4 million, you can self-insure. In between, you're in the band where neither answer works. Too wealthy to qualify for help. Not wealthy enough to absorb a $500,000 care bill without changing everything. Quick recap. In Ohio in 2026, long-term care runs $60,000 to $110,000 a year, rising with inflation. Medicare doesn't pay for it. Medicaid only pays after you spend almost everything. And families with 1 to 4 million saved are the most exposed. Now let's talk about why this hits couples even harder. If you're married, this matters for both of you. Even more for the spouse who outlives the other. When a care event happens, it doesn't just deplete the savings of the spouse who needs care. It depletes the household, both of you. And the spouse who's still healthy is left to live the rest of their life on what's left. There's another angle to the married couple math people miss. When one spouse passes away, household income drops more than household expenses. Two reasons. Social Security goes to whichever benefit was higher. The smaller one disappears. And many pensions reduce or eliminate the survivor's benefit. So a couple bringing in $7,000 a month might drop to $4,500 after the first spouse passes. Expenses don't drop nearly that much. Long-term care protection isn't only about protecting savings. It's about protecting how much monthly income the surviving spouse has left to live on for the next 20 or 30 years. Let me show you. A typical $1.5 million retirement plan has full plan health today. Call it 100%. Now, one spouse needs 3 years of memory care, about $110,000 a year with inflation. About $350,000 out of pocket. Plan health drops to about 75%. The healthy spouse is going to feel that for the rest of their life. Now, what if the second spouse needs care too? Statistically, this happens more often than people realize. The widow or widower from the first care event becomes the second person who needs help. Another 2 to 5 years of care. Plan health drops to 30% or less. That's not retirement anymore. That's surviving on what's left. Here's something most plans don't account for. Take the same care event, same dollar amount, same family. Now run it 2 ways. Version 1, the care event hits during a strong year for the stock market. Version 2, same care event hits during a bad year, like the 2008 crash. Same money pulled out. The version that happened during the bad year leaves the family with 30% less wealth 20 years later. Why? Because every dollar you pull out during a market drop is a dollar that doesn't get to bounce back when the market recovers. You can't control when care happens, but you can control whether one bad year breaks the whole plan. Back to that Ohio family from the start. The $440,000, 5 years of care. The husband had a stroke at 76. He spent 3 years in rehab and then memory care after his Alzheimer's progressed. His wife managed everything. They saved $1.4 million. By the time he passed at 81, $440,000 was gone. She's 78 now, with about $960,000 left, and her own care risk is still ahead of her. Now, let me tell you about a different family. Bob and Mary. Bob is 67, Mary is 65. They live in Dublin, Ohio. They saved $2.2 million for retirement. Bob worked 35 years as an engineer. Mary taught middle school for 30, both healthy at this stage. But they remembered Bob's father going through 5 years of memory care. They watched his estate get drained. They didn't want that for themselves or for their kids. Bob and Mary worked with a qualified professional to look at their options. They had an old variable universal life policy from the 90s with about $250,000 in cash value. They didn't need the life insurance anymore. Their kids were grown and financially independent. Instead of cashing the policy out and triggering a big tax bill on the gain, they used something called a 1035 exchange. That moved the $250,000 directly into a hybrid long-term care policy. No taxes triggered. The policy gave them a combined long-term care benefit of $600,000, usable by either of them if needed. 8 years later, Bob, now 75, has a stroke. He needs 3 years of memory care after his condition progresses. Total cost of care, $420,000. The policy paid all of it. Their other retirement accounts grew during those years to about $2.8 million. Their plan health is still 92% of where they'd projected to be. Mary still has policy coverage for herself if she needs it. They protected the household. They protected each other. Here's a layer most families don't think about. Where the care money comes from matters as much as how much it costs. Most retirees have 3 types of accounts. Regular savings, like a brokerage account or CDs. Tax-deferred, like a traditional IRA or 401k. And tax-free, like a Roth IRA. A $400,000 care bill costs a different amount, depending on which account it comes from. Pull it from regular savings, and $400 is $400. Pull it from a traditional IRA in 1 year. You might owe $140,000 in taxes on top. $540 out the door for a $400,000 care bill. Pull it from Roth. $400 is $400. But you lose all the future tax-free growth. A hybrid LTC policy works like a fourth bucket. Money pulled from the policy doesn't trigger taxes, doesn't disrupt the IRA, doesn't drain the Roth. Same care bill, no tax leak. So what's the right answer for your situation? A good planner doesn't pick from a menu, they walk through a decision tree. Question 1. How old are you? Under 60. Focus on funding a long-term care bucket through an HSA or stock investments. 60 to 70. Prime window for a hybrid policy. Over 70. Hybrid may still work if you qualify medically, otherwise traditional LTC insurance or self-funding. Question 2. Do you have heirs you want to leave money to? Yes. Hybrid wins because of the death benefit and the inheritance tax savings. No. Self-funding with stock investments may win, since the death benefit is wasted. Question 3. What's your current tax bracket? High. Hybrid wins because the tax-free care benefit is worth more. Low. A regular brokerage account may be fine. Question 4. Would you qualify medically right now? Yes. Act soon before that window closes. No. Focus on Medicaid planning with an elder law attorney. The right product is the end of the decision, not the beginning. Traditional long-term care insurance has been around since the 1980s. It works like home insurance. Pay a premium every year. If you need care, the policy pays. If you never need care, you don't get the premiums back. Use it or lose it. The problem is the insurance industry mispriced these policies badly in the 80s and 90s. Most carriers have stopped selling them or raised premiums dramatically. Today it still exists, but it's a much smaller market. The third path is what most families with 1 to 4 million saved choose today. It's called a hybrid policy. The mechanism is simple. You put money in, usually as a single deposit or scheduled premiums over a few years. That money does one of two things. If you need care, the policy pays for it, often 2 to 5 times what you put in. If you never need care, your family gets a death benefit, usually more than what you put in. The money doesn't disappear either way, that's the whole point. Quick note for couples. You actually have 2 structural choices when buying a hybrid policy. You can buy 2 individual policies, one for each spouse, each with its own benefit pool. Or you can buy 1 joint policy with a shared pool that either spouse can use. Joint policies are usually cheaper. But if both spouses end up needing care, the shared pool can run dry faster. 2 individual policies cost more, but each spouse has dedicated protection. There's no universal right answer. 2 individual policies are safer. Joint is more efficient. Talk to a qualified professional about which structure fits your situation. Here's the difference visually. Same household, same 2 care events. Without protection, plan health drops to about 30% of starting value. The plan is broken. With a hybrid policy in place, the policy pays the care bill instead of your savings. Plan health holds at about 88%. Same risk, different outcome. A common question, why not just self-insure? There are actually 3 real ways to do that. Let's compare all of them honestly. Same $200,000. Option A, a stock market ETF in a regular brokerage account, set aside for care. Average return over long periods has been around 7 to 10% a year. After 10 years, that $200,000 grows to around $390. Option B, a hybrid LTC policy. Care benefit if you need it, $400,000 to $600,000. If you never need care, your family gets a death benefit of around $240,000, tax-free. Option C, a tax-deferred LTC pool inside an IRA. Same growth as option A, but pulling it during a care event triggers a big tax bill on top. 3 real options. Same starting money, very different outcomes depending on what happens next. 3 scenarios. Scenario 1, no care needed. Brokerage ETF gives heirs around $330 after capital gains taxes. Hybrid policy gives heirs $240 tax-free. IRA pool gives heirs about $250 after income tax. Brokerage wins if you never need care. Scenario 2, light care need, say $100,000. Brokerage drops to about $290. Hybrid pool of $500 absorbs the entire bill. IRA pool drops to about $150 after tax. Hybrid wins. Scenario 3, heavy care need, $400,000. Brokerage gets depleted and you're still spending more. Hybrid pool covers all $400. IRA pool drains to almost nothing after taxes. Hybrid wins big. The hybrid policy is the only option that handles all 3 scenarios well. One more piece worth knowing. Long-term care benefits from a qualified hybrid policy are generally not taxable as income when they're paid out. The IRS treats them differently than other insurance benefits. And if you're using money already inside an old life insurance policy or annuity, you can move it into a hybrid LTC structure through what's called a 1035 exchange without triggering taxes on the transfer. Talk to a qualified professional about whether either of these applies to your situation. Two tax angles most retirees don't know about. First, the HSA, the health savings account. If you have a high-deductible health plan now, you probably have access to one. HSA money goes in tax-free, grows tax-free, and comes out tax-free if you use it for healthcare. The IRS lets you withdraw up to about $6,000 a year from your HSA to pay long-term care premiums once you're in your 70s. That's triple tax-advantaged LTC funding most people miss entirely. Second, if you're self-employed, you can deduct hybrid LTC premiums above the line as health insurance. That's a real tax break that goes directly to your bottom line every year you pay premiums. Here's a strategy that ties everything together. Between age 60 and 72, before you have to start taking required withdrawals from your traditional IRA, you can do something called a Roth conversion. You move money from your traditional IRA into a Roth IRA, pay the tax on it now at your lower retirement year tax bracket. The money then grows tax-free for the rest of your life. Why does this matter for long-term care? Because if a care event happens in your 70s, pulling $50,000 a year from a traditional IRA could push you into a much higher tax bracket. But pulling that same $50,000 from a Roth costs you zero tax. A simple 5-year Roth conversion ladder, $50,000 a year, moves $250,000 into your tax-free bucket. That becomes a tax-free care fund that doesn't disrupt the rest of your plan. One more thing most families don't know. When you pass away, the investments your heirs inherit get reset to current market value. It's called a step-up in basis, meaning if your kids inherit a brokerage account worth $400,000 that you originally bought for $200,000, they get it at the current $400,000. No tax owed on the $200,000 of growth, but if you spent that $200,000 of growth paying for care first, that step-up is gone. Spending $200,000 of taxable account gains for care costs your heirs around $30,000 in future capital gains taxes. A hybrid LTC policy paying the care bill instead keeps the brokerage account intact, preserves the step-up, and saves your heirs that tax. It's a benefit that doesn't show up on the policy brochure. Quick recap. 3 paths to handle the care risk. Self-fund, traditional insurance, hybrid policies. For most families with $1 million to $4 million saved, the hybrid is what works. It protects the plan, leverages the deposit, and the benefits aren't taxed. Let's talk about timing. Here's what most families miss until it's too late. The window to put a hybrid policy in place closes earlier than you'd think. In your 60s, most healthy people qualify and pricing is at its best. In your 70s, qualifying gets harder. The rejection rate climbs sharply. By your 80s, most carriers won't write a new policy at all. And there are health conditions, family history of dementia, certain cancers, MS, that can disqualify you in your 50s. Here's the planning problem in one sentence. The window to qualify is shorter than the window where you might actually need care. Your 60s is the sweet spot. The earlier in your 60s, the better your odds. So here's what to do. First, run our free long-term care cost calculator. It'll show you what an Ohio care event actually costs for your specific situation. Second, schedule 15 minutes with one of our retirement consultants. We'll walk through your numbers, your family situation, and whether a hybrid strategy makes sense for you. The link is in the description, and the QR code is at the end of this video. The Retirement Classroom helps Ohio households with $1 to $4 million saved build retirement plans that hold up. We focus on the gaps most plans miss. Long-term care is one of the biggest of those gaps. Our consultations are educational, no pressure, and built around your specific situation. One last thing, send this video to someone in your life who needs to start thinking about protecting themselves and their spouse from a care event. It's the conversation most families never have. We can't predict the future, but we can help you plan for it.